Hi, for those of you who are used to my mechanics videos and computer for that matter, this may seem like I am branching out, but this is rooted in my experience, and I hope this video will turn out good, knock on wood. So I will talk about the basics of woodworking today. I am not a purist or even a woodworking expert. However, I have built things in my life over the past decades and repaired things, and they stood the test of time and regular daily use and abuse. So I think that I have some idea of what I'm talking about, and the things that I will share today are something that I think should be passed on to other people and other generations. So here we are. Let us begin. And again, this will be just hitting the high points, the very basics of working with wood that might save you a lot of time and help you evaluate information and advice that you come across when talking to people or when reading or watching videos. So I made a table of contents to keep this as brief and to the point as possible that I will be reading and referring to. So the first thing is, why wood? My goal is to fix something or build something or adjust the existing things and furniture, house repairs, whatever. And very often wood is the optimal material. Optimal is like the best, but when you account for all the pros and cons and your constraints like budget and everything, and compare that to the other available alternatives. So that is briefly the definition of optimal. So it is the optimal choice. It's not as hard as steel, and it's not as soft as I don't know, wool or similar, but for many things it is the optimal choice because it is pretty strong for its weight. That's and this was the pretty durable, and it feels beautiful and natural. So it has that also emotional and, how do I say, aesthetic aspect to it. And also working with wood as opposed to wrenching or even grinding, cutting metal and working with metal is somehow more, for me at least, more meditative and has some special feel for it. And that leads us to the next topic. If I remember, yes, wood is alive and it moves. Even a piece of wood, a plank of wood like this, if I leave it for one whole year, very relatively recently, for example, these shelves and the base of this desk were made from wood, from oak, and I took some oak and left it for one whole year sheltered from rain just outside, and when I cut it roughly to the size I needed and brought it in here, I needed to put it to acclimatize and to get the moisture a bit lower to where it will be when it's used in this environment. And it did warp a little bit, but if I cut it right to the side and did everything and then left it, it would have been less well the final product. So it will work, it will shift a bit, and so you need to account for that and take that into consideration. That's one of the beauties and magics of it, and also one of the potential problems or challenges, as the modern brainwashing HR people like to speak. Now, understanding the grain. Wood is like a original gangster composite material. So it is not like steel uniform, though steel has a crystallized structure, and that's a topic for a separate article or a video, but wood is like a bunch of straws. That's the best way to explain it. These are recyclable, don't worry, so you can go on with your private jet. Anyways, dropped one. This is what the structure of this board basically looks like, how you can envision it. And so if I put the wood has many grains that are made of English is not my native, so I also have an article with definitions, but cellulose I think is the right term. The fibers that are used like small straws to suck in the nutrients and water and feed the branches and leaves and everything, and they go along the wood's length as it grows, basically like this. And so if you need something to bear load, you can put it like this, and then it can bear load easily. But if you try to make it bear load like this, then it will be easily broken up. The same goes for when you are working with wood, when you need to cut it and make it turn it into a shape. If you are cutting against the grains, you will be maybe causing them to like cutting ropes to fray and similar. You need very sharp tools, very good tools, and even if you are trying to work against them to cause splinters, but if you work along the grains and try to just gently remove one by one, because wood is a bunch of very thin small grains, fibers, and connected and glued together with a sort of a natural epoxy or epoxy. So that's basically the structure. And also when you're painting it, if you apply paint on the length along the grain, it will be very nice cover, but not using too much paint. But if you want the paint to penetrate deeper and use more paint or protective coating, whatever, then you go against the grain and perpendicular, and so just it will soak then like crazy. So those are some points to consider when cutting and working with wood. Filling cracks and imperfections. It can be done for structural aspects or for purely cosmetic. For cosmetic, you have some colored like pieces of wax, basically. That's the closest example, color coded that you can drip, keep heat up so they drip and fill in the holes, and then cut it to size and sand it and make it look nicely to match the color of your wood. Or if you want it to be also structurally sound and to make it like a fix and repair of any cracks, then you can mix the sawdust, finer and larger, or mix both depending on the depth and the size of the cracks that you're filling, and mix it with some wood glue and then fill it up before applying any protective coating or painting, and then sand it. If you get that mixture to be the right shade and color of the wood that you're working on, then it can look as if the cracks never existed if you do it right. So that's one thing. Then to reiterate back to protecting the surface, there are two basic kinds of protecting the surface of the wood. One is the like normal paint, to use the word normal, that you use on metal and similar, that will put a coat on the surface, and if you need to touch it up, any cracks or similar, you can do it. But when it gets really cracked and damaged over time and worn, you need to put in a lot more time and effort to remove all the paint and then repaint it with all the procedures that takes. But there is another kind of paint, and those are basically usually penetrating recoatable finishes, so to speak, like Sadolin, that is very popular type of paint and brand for wood, that you can just reapply extra layers every year without needing to sand. Or boiled linseed oil. Let me show you that. Here is what that looks like and how it flows. It's very, the wood will soak it in, and it does provide some kind of protection and brings out the natural colors and beauty of the wood and structure. And it is easy to reapply, but it does take time to cure, and you need to be careful when you use it on any cloths or similar, because it can get hot and flammable and so on. But the point is that those are some basic kinds of finishes that each have their pros and cons. The ones that are like normal paints are usually, if you get the right one in good quality and apply them properly and prepare the wood properly, will usually provide better protection from moisture and elements and sun and everything. But you will need to have a lot more trouble and effort when you need to reapply them, while these, for some things that, especially for indoor stuff that you want to keep the natural look of, they can look Those colors can make it look natural and nice, and just keep the wood nourished and prevent it from drying out, and still provide some amount of protection from water, moisture and similar. Not to nearly to the same degree, but still not bad. It can last for decades or more. If you enjoyed this video, you can support my work via Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/BikeGremlin, it means a lot. I don't have any sponsors. This is not a commercial thing, and so buying cameras and covering the costs of hosting all the knowledge database that I've published online on my websites, that's also linked in the video's description. So that it's nicer when I don't have to pay for that out of my own pocket. It's okay to share stuff for free, but I don't like the idea of paying on top of that. If you have any comments or corrections especially, please use the BikeGremlin.net forum so that your comments stay visible, don't get swallowed by YouTube's boosting engagement farming algorithm nonsense. There they will be searchable and visible and structured for everyone else who has other similar questions or comments and similar. So that's it. That's the whole video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you soon in some other video. Cheers and stay cool as always. That's it. This was the last straw. I mean, from the ones I dropped on the floor.